Good evening. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Carrabelle City Commission. It's Thursday, January the 3rd, 2019, 6 p.m. We're at the Carrabelle City Municipal Complex. I'll please ask Commissioner Allen to say the prayer for us, and then we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, so if everyone would please stand.
Our God and Father in heaven, we're so grateful that we have this opportunity to come tonight. And we ask your blessings on us as we deliberate on the things that pertain to the wonderful city that you've given us, that we might use all wisdom and honesty and justice, that we might do that which would be most right for the citizens and appropriate for what's right. We ask you to be with us in this upcoming year, Father. We have much to do and a long way to go. And we'll need to all the help we can to deliberate and do the things in a wise way. And we're thankful for this past year and the progress that the city has made. We ask you to be with our commissioners tonight, those in our homes that cannot be here. And we ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have the consent agenda, which includes the December 6, 2018 regular meeting minutes, and then the attorney's invoices for the month of October. Did everyone have an opportunity to review the minutes and the invoices? And may we entertain a motion then on that?
Make a motion to approve.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Mathis, second by Commissioner Millender. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, then that motion carries. Next on the agenda is public comment. Do we have any public comment? Okay. If you can please come to the podium and speak your name for the record, and the microphone is turned on.
Thank you. And with absolutely no disrespect, my comments for the community, the face of the community.
Okay. But get your microphone
Yeah.
so they can hear. And Linda, you may, if it's so that it can be on the video, that might be a good thing too.
I'm Ken LaPaz, my bride Linda LaPaz. We're the only operators of Hog Wild Barbecue. Mr. Sheriff Mike Mock, he's here to be my lungs and voice for the next few minutes. I won't make it through this.
I don't cook chicken and ribs quite as good as he does. I'm going to read it as he's printed it because he asked me to do that, so just bear with me. Hello, my name is Ken LaPaz. This is my bride, Mr. LaPaz's bride, Linda LaPaz. They are the owner of Hog Wild Barbecue. He says it owns us, we don't own it. We attended our first City of Carrabelle Commission meeting 17 odd years ago to ask this community for the blessing of opening Hog Wild Barbecue in this community. We was given and have had that blessing. We are here tonight to explain our reason for having a deep sorrow to end that blessing. Hello and Happy New Year to everyone. When I say everyone, I mean absolutely everyone. Every single person that sees this. I was going to do this one quick, to the point writing. However, that is not going to work. It will be continued. Several times, if you ever do anything, I'm sorry, to be continued several times. If you ever do anything for me, I hope you will read as long as you can tolerate. No test, challenge to see if you did. I hope there be at least one thing written that will be for you. I will call out a few people, places, and things. This will only be done in a positive comment to make a point. Maybe this will be enough to keep some interest. I have to start with Linda's and my current position in life. We have to make immediate lifestyle changes. I'm not talking exercise and diet. I'm talking about the sale of the property, building, and equipment of Hog Wild Barbecue at 1593 West Highway 98, Carrabelle, Florida. We are at a point that we have to immediately remove any type of stress from our life that we can. Number one, for ourselves. Number two, for our family. Unfortunately, any type of mom and pop business, not just a restaurant, is a major source of stress. Yesteryear, okay. This year, no more. We have an excellent piece of property that will be an excellent investment for someone. If you are truly interested, we will make a deal with you. If you're not greedy, we are not greedy. If you will help us through this, we will help you into this. Property needs minor, moderate improvements, repairs, mostly minor. I have had many people in the community ask how can I help. I cannot pay a carpenter, electrician, or plumber rate for minor and moderate jobs. Not intended to be demeaning to anyone, I can pay something that I can barter. Fixing a leak faucet, enjoy a lunch buffet. I can do and always have done most of these things, but now do not have the time or physical ability. I will explain more of this in a to be continued. I want to get this out to get the ball rolling. It is for public knowledge. Feel free to share with anyone. Somebody knows someone that knows someone that knows someone that this will be an excellent opportunity for. There may be a group of local people just willing to make a small investment for each. I know what is small to let it sell for the perfect opportunity. You can contact me, Ken LaPaz, 850-697-2776, or private message me on Facebook, or Jan Dowden, Seacrest Realty, 251-3432. How can you help? Please spread the word. We are still open for business. Please don't forget us. We are not forgetting you. However, our present schedule until I can get the mobility back that I need is open as we are able to be. Each day I will have a business phone and a Facebook message for the next day's business hours pending any last minute changes. The next week or so will be primary lunch buffet only. To be continued. God bless all. Ken and Linda LaPaz.
Thank y'all. Thank you. Thank you very much. I just want to remark that is a landmark for our community, Hog Wild. That is the way we give directions these days. We all have to refer to Hog Wild first before we give directions. You all have been a great asset to our community. And my brother and sister-in-law, I appreciate it. I love you both, and I'm not afraid to say that in public. And we appreciate all that you have given to the community, and being an employer in the community. And you talk about that it's major stress, it's a major loss to the community. And I want to suggest that would be a nice letter to the editor. Apalachicola Times. So does anyone else have anything they'd like to say?
Yes, ma'am. I would like to ditto those comments and thank Ken and Linda for their wonderful community participation. I know it's been a business, but as the mayor said, it's been an asset to the community for quite a number of years. We've been proud of you guys. We've been proud to have the restaurant here, and you've served very well. Thank you from the bottom of our heart for all that you have done.
Thank you. And I would like to, I no mean to be rude, but we need to exit stage left.
Okay,
Absolutely.
All right. Exit stage left and be careful in the fall. All right then.
Pass for anybody who wants copy.
Okay. Pleasure to
And
see
for the
you.
commissioners, please.
Okay. All
Thank
right. We'll move forward. Is there any further public comment? And thank you, Mr. Mock, for reading that.
We're going to have a word or something.
Is there any other public comment? Okay. Then we'll move on to the commissioners' reports. Commissioner Allen?
I have nothing.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Commissioner Mathis?
Yes, I would like to ask why we have let little William go demoted quite some time and cut his pay, and why we haven't put Dustin up and give him some more pay.
We have not really discussed that. I haven't discussed it with the city administrator at this point. Have we reviewed the job description?
Yes, and he, at this time, does not have the CDL driver's license that he is required in the job description that he needs.
Is there a way that we can get him some training to get the CDL? And also, I would like for him to get maintenance of traffic training, and I need to go ahead and contact, I know some folks on Broad Spectrum that have offered that to the city and see if we could get, we needed always along, we've always needed someone on streets and roads that were MOT certified. So.
Yes, I'd like to see him promote up, give a person an opportunity to better himself. If he's gonna sit at the bottom, if I was him, I'd do just as little as I could to get by.
And he has not expressed an interest to me. Has he expressed anything?
He's a real quiet kid.
Yes, he's a nice
But if
fellow.
anybody's ever asked him to do anything, he took care of it immediately.
Mhm. Yes,
Mayor,
yes, sir.
I'd like to make some comments.
Okay.
And I concur with Commissioner Mathis, but the administrator and I have talked about it on a couple of occasions. And as she stated, I feel like she's in the process of following up on what we're talking about.
Mhm.
And with his CDL and without other issues, and study his pay scale and look at what we can do. And I feel like she's got the wheels in motion to do that, and she's going to come to us with something as soon as she's ready to do that.
Mhm.
And I support it, but I think she's got the wheels in motion for it. Am I right, Court?
And actually, that's what I had thought, that I know that we're going to need a supervisor. We do need a supervisor. And I had felt like that we were working on it now, and that possibly that Dustin was in some type of training or coaching at this point. So,
And he's started doing the paperwork and keeping up with the logs, and that's part of it too, that I wanted to make sure that he knew how to do these things.
Yeah, that was
So,
part of the conversation that we had, and she and I had it, and it stemmed from the Human Relations Committee on the position descriptions, because it's included in their position descriptions on the requirements for CDLs and certain things that he needs to obtain. And that's part of it, and that's the reason why I said I think Courtney's got the wheels in motion to go forward with that. And I agree.
I'm making myself a note to call about the maintenance of traffic certification. And, you know, we need, and Commissioner Millender mentioned it during budget time, an additional employee on streets and roads, and we do. And I just wish that we could somehow locate the funding for that.
We're looking for it.
Yeah, we're steady looking. Okay. Is there anything else, Mr. Mathis?
No, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, and thank you for expressing your concern. And Commissioner Walden?
I just want to make a comment on Dusty. I have talked to Dusty about this job, and he is aware that he needs to get these CDLs, but, you know, he said it was going to cost quite a bit of money. I told him that I thought the city would help him on that, but we've helped everybody else on their training, and if it's going to advance his career, I think we should pay for his, take his test. I'm all in giving the guy the promotion when he gets his training. That's all I have right now.
Okay. And Commissioner Millender?
I've made my comments. I have others, but I think we'll address those as we get to that point. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. And then I do have a mayor's report. It's a little bit shorter this time. I'll try to be quick, but I want to follow up on the extensive discussion we had last month concerning the remote instrumentation site on the Air Force property at the end of Marine Street. In mid-December, I spoke with Mr. Spatz, the Eglin Air Force Public Affairs Officer. He apologized for the confusion. He said the environmental assessment did not clearly state what the proposed action was for that site out there. He reported that there's no radar tower to be built out there, transmitting device planned for that location. The equipment that is proposed for that site is a telemetry receiver for receiving signals from military equipment over the Gulf of Mexico. And he said that these signals have been transmitted over the Gulf of Mexico in this area for years, but now they want to monitor them from 4 additional locations between here and Key West, and Carrabelle is one of those locations. And he assured me that the telemetry receiver will present no interference with marine navigation or commercial or recreational activities in the Carrabelle River. And he said they're going to revise that environmental assessment that was on their website and make it available again for public comment, and that they will schedule a public hearing for Carrabelle in the future.
Good.
So it's not as bad as we thought it was. And then on December 7th, Courtney Keisha, the chief, and Mr. Chester Butler and I participated in a conference call with Richard Fetchek, again of the ARPC, where he presented the model coastal management element policies that's going to be added to our comprehensive plan that was mandated by Florida statute in 2015. And he presented, we've been working on that about once a month for the past few months, and he presented the proposal that is going to be added into our comprehensive plan. Then on December the 8th, Carrabelle had its 24th annual holiday on the harbor and boat parade of lights. It was a great event, holiday celebration. It was organized by the chamber with Lisa Munson at the helm, and the help of the folks at the Carrabelle History Museum with Miss Tamara Allen, who's missing tonight. I believe this is the first meeting I've ever known her to be missing since I've been on board.
No, I tried to get her to let me drive a rope to her scooter and drag her down there, but
She wouldn't come.
she said, not in the dark.
Well, anyway, for that,
I didn't
there
say
were,
that, I'm just carrying.
okay, we had plenty of numerous businesses and churches participated as vendors and helpful volunteers. I believe there were 17 boats. They were really decorated up nice this year. Santa and his helpers arrived atop the Carrabelle's ladder truck. Pam Noble's dancers were here for entertainment, and a free mini train was packed all day long. And I just want to give a good thank you to all those who worked so hard to make it a great event. And of course, we had fireworks that were paid for by the CRA and the Tourist Development Company, Tourist Development Council paid for all the advertising. And then I just want to let everyone know, because we have I'm receiving comments and complaints about these 3 items. And so this is what I'm going to concentrate on for the next few weeks, is the 3 important projects that have been allowed to come to what appears to the public as a work stoppage. And I was just discussing it with Mr. Large, relocation of City Hall operations to the new building as soon as possible. We know what's going on there behind the scenes, but in general, the public doesn't. It looks like we're ready to go, and we're just not moving into it for some reason. But the building is basically ready to go, inside and out. It's just the site plan, and we'll talk about that more when Russell comes up. Then I want to we may need to schedule a meeting to expedite the completion of Avenue B behind IGA and Ace Hardware, and get that reconstruction, that roadway reconstruction going. And then also expedite the completion of the new aircraft hangar at the airport. The last 2 projects have been on the books entirely too long. Our businesses, citizens, and visitors are negatively affected by the prolonged Avenue B roadway construction. And the airport has the loss of rental income from the new hangar, which could be two separate hangars there. And the building is deteriorating while it sits empty, waiting completion. So I'm going to press hard for these 3 projects to get done here in the next few weeks. Meanwhile, I wish all of you a joyous and happy New Year, 2019. Thank you all for being here, and I look forward to working with you in the new year. And then we'll move on now to the city attorney's report.
All right, I have the items that I would report on are actually agenda items, so I have none.
Okay. Does anyone have questions?
Any questions? not until we get some of those out, I'm sure we will.
Oh, now, we had requested a review of the Solar United contract, Florida Solar United.
Yes, the RFI.
Yes.
And it looked standard from the standpoint of it is a state document, and I did not see anything unusual out of the ordinary. Just because there's a request for inclusion on the,
It would be a request for inclusion.
yep, and it's just for that first study phase.
Mhm. And I did communicate with Mr. Timothy Banks, the DEP SRF program administrator. I sent Courtney. She was looped in on that. And he talks about, so I have to ask you all, he talks about that if funds are available, we can apply for the $25,000 planning grant for the solar system out there at the wastewater treatment plant, with 50% forgiveness on that, making it cost the city $12,000. But he says now that all of their principal forgiveness and grant projects now require the development of an asset management plan and its subsequent implementation. Do we have an asset management plan for the wastewater treatment plant?
I'm not sure.
Okay. And so it looks like for us to apply for any grants or forgiveness grants that we would have to, and I did copy you on that one as well, but we can talk about it behind the scenes. All right, so Ms. Courtney, your report then?
All right, I'm going to report on some of the items that we have at City Hall. The progress of the repairs of windows that were damaged during the security system installation. Those windows were installed by a company out of Panama City that we've had a hard time getting a hold of since the storm. They have an affiliate of theirs. It's not the same company, but it's another company out of Mariana. And they've come and they've looked at the windows, and they can fix them and offer us a 10-year warranty on those windows. And they're working up an estimate now, and then that would not be part of Sperry's contract. The city would do that on their own with a new window contractor, and then we would then go after Sonatrol for the reimbursement for the windows, for the repairs.
Do we have any idea when the signage was going to happen?
The sign, I spoke with him yesterday, is in production, and it's still 2 weeks out.
Okay.
But it is in production.
Okay.
And the same with the dais, we sent me the samples for the laminate to go on the dais, and it's been approved and it's in production as well.
And Mr. Christopherson didn't know I was going to ask him this, but I will. It just came to mind. Can you tell us about the flagpole? What's happening with that?
It's ready to go, it just needs to be installed. It's
Okay.
finished.
All right. Okay. And then Miranda is planning for the phone system to be transferred. The phone system will be shut down about 4 days, but she's going to...
About the 24th, I believe.
But she'll roll over the main number to a city owned cell phone, and we'll be able to take phone calls still. And she's contacted the Xerox folks to give them a heads up about moving the copier. And
The only question I have on that, and I've mentioned it to Miranda, and it may not be possible, I'm not checking into it. When we made the move from the old forestry site to the new forestry site, we did an overlap with GT Comm or Consolidated. We did an overlap where the phone stayed active out there for, I think it was 2 weeks, and they were turned on over there before we made the move. So we had an overlap of them being on at both places while we made the move. I don't know if that's a possibility or not. That
I believe she's checked into it, but I'll find out.
And I was actually with her, it wasn't planned that way, when she was talking with the Consolidated folks at the new building. And I asked, why can't we have it on in both places? And they said, we just can't do it. But maybe there's some way.
Well, I think if you had different lines, you were using different numbers, but they can't put one number here and use that same number over there.
Water Sewer Department, Mr. Charlie has offered to assist with the move, and I appreciate that. And we may have to, but we don't have it, it's not confirmed yet, but we're working towards it here, towards the end of the month.
Towards the end of the month.
We may have to close City Hall 1 or 2 days, on Thursday or Friday, or Thursday and Friday, but we'll see. Everyone will be alerted.
And then my only other announcement was that City Hall will be closed on Monday, January the 21st for Martin Luther King Day.
Okay, do y'all have any questions? Okay, then, Mr. Large.
All right, thank you. I'll address some of our other projects briefly, and then I'll round back up on that new being City Hall.
Okay.
The Kios Edition project, which is the DOT Small Communities Outreach Municipalities Grant project, that project was let to bid, and as of today, we have 5 contractors who have picked up plans and specs. That bid opening is scheduled for January the 22nd at 1:30 p.m. here at this City Hall. On Lighthouse Estates, we're continuing to design a low-pressure sewer system. On the water part of that project, we met with Mary Gavin earlier before Christmas, and we set up the online preliminary engineering report application, so that is moving forward. We also have progress on the raw water filter plans and the brine disposal system. The report is completed on that. We have a brine to reuse effluent ratio, so we can proceed with permitting for that project. All right, now to round back up on the City Hall, just to make you aware of some items that we're addressing with the contractor on that for the benefit of the commission and the public. There are some punch list items which are still remaining. They are entirely related to the site, not the building. In this discussion I had with the mayor earlier, she suggested that if it's possible for the city to go ahead and move into the facility, and we can hold retainage, which is about on the order of $90,000. We can hold that retainage until the contractor completes that work. Just to give you an idea of some of the things that are unresolved, there's a sidewalk on US 98 that was damaged. They repaired it, but it was only half of repairs. They need to get that correct. There's still a bird bath in the parking lot, which I think they can do a better job of correcting that. There's some sod that appears to me to be dead that I think needs to be replaced. They still owe us a revised as-built survey and a pipe video for the pipe that was installed. I think that's a critical item. We won't know if that pipe was installed correctly without the video. That's important for us to have. So all those items are related to the site. I think that's a reasonable suggestion that the city at least consider moving in the latter part of this month, and we'll continue to work with the contractor to make those corrections on the site and withhold retainage until they complete those items.
Then I'm looking over my list that you sent. They got the generator, they coordinated to have the testing of the generator. The Ring Power.
I'm told that there's a letter provided by Ring Power. I haven't seen it, but Courtney, have you seen it?
Miranda said she didn't have it. Charlie, did you get that?
No, I didn't have one.
No, we have not seen a letter
All right.
from Ring Power.
Thank you.
Printed out, but I don't have
The contractor indicated the city had been provided one, and I had asked Courtney for a copy, so apparently that doesn't, you don't have it at least. Okay. So that's another item that needs to be addressed.
I would like to see what's been suggested by you and the mayor is to proceed forward. I know we don't want to overreact, or I wouldn't want to suggest that we overreact, but I would like to see us move forward in a timely manner, which things that have been covered
sounds like we're moving forward. And with the city hall, so I'm good with that. I have, and I also heard the mayor say something about Avenue V. Avenue V, really, we need, I don't know what we need to do, Russell, I'm asking you, I'm looking at you hard and strong, from my standpoint, to really bump that up.
I agree.
I know there's probably some legality, and we don't want to get into all that, but reasonability there, and bumping that project up and trying to stimulate it and get it really moving.
I do agree. I do agree. There's phase 2 of that project that we're proceeding with, which is a change order amount.
I saw that.
We did send those information letters, and I haven't heard from anyone. I was going to ask Courtney if she had.
No, other than they're just looking for payment that Melissa has submitted to DEO, but it hasn't been approved yet.
Yeah. Okay.
So that seems to be their holdup, is that they need money.
They do. But I don't know if we need to have a sit down with them, even if we all have to meet in Crawfordville at his office, Courtney, you, Dan even, and myself,
Yes, Dan.
and figure out what's going on there. Do we, now this might be one where we need to go ahead and contact their bonding company.
I think it's entirely appropriate to ask them to meet here at City Hall.
Okay.
And I'll be happy to schedule that meeting as soon as possible. I think that's entirely appropriate. I can tell you, we did get pipe video on this project, and we directed them specifically to provide that video and not pave the roadway until we had that pipe video and were able to review it. And I'm glad we did it that way because there were some problems with the pipe installation. So they had to go in and repair those, and we're waiting for those updated videos to show that the repair was made. That needs to be done prior to the road paving, for sure.
And they ran over a water meter then this week. Was that this week, Mr. Charlie?
Yeah, it was during the holiday.
So that's the third line, third time, right?
They ran over the meter box, yeah. Yeah, I believe it's the third time.
It makes me feel uneasy for sitting here in this seat that we're about to award the second phase of that thing, and we are having difficulty. I feel like real difficulty with the first phase.
Yes, I think they need to provide us with a schedule.
Yes, the
I think
timeline.
they need to provide us with a schedule. And we need to help them hold them to it. So I'll reach out to them and schedule a meeting as soon as possible.
And yes, and this is a CRA project. We're meeting, CRA is having a meeting on the 15th. Possibly we could schedule, and Mr. Dan will be here for that as well. Maybe we could schedule a meeting on the 15th with them.
Okay.
Maybe he might just go ahead and we'll ask him to be prepared to answer questions from the CRA board.
Okay.
Okay, and then, so the bid, I'm going to go back to the bid opening for Keogh's.
Right.
That's on the 22nd, and we'll, this board will award that bid on the 5th, February the 7th at the next commission meeting?
Yes.
Okay, all right, then we'll have that on the agenda. Okay,
All right.
all right. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thanks, Russell.
Thank you.
And then the next up is the advisory board reports and the Waterfront Partnership. And Tamara's not here. She did provide a written report. Is there any comments on that? Are there any comments on that?
I read it. It looks standard. It looks like they're still busy
Okay.
from my end.
And then we have no Economic Development Council report tonight. And then we'll move on to the Carrabelle Aviation Advisory Board. And Mr. Sullivan wasn't able to be here. We do have Mr. Commissioner Bert Bolt, who is also with us tonight. He sits on that board as a board member. And I believe their report was sent out yesterday. And he reports on the ongoing rent losses from the two, well, actually three hangars, the two-stall hangar and then the Grantham hangar. And then again, this month, they report on the Kimberly Horn report regarding damages that happened during the staging event with Recovery Logistics. And I want to ask this board, do we want to submit to Recovery Logistics for repairs? Do we want to address that? And Mr. Hartman, what do you think?
I have not reviewed the report, but if there's reports of damage caused by that recovery logistics, we should certainly, that be the first step, would be sending them a letter saying, this is what we paid for this report, this is what it shows.
And I have provided them the report.
Oh, you have sent Recovery Logistics the report?
Yes, they have the report.
Did they respond?
They did not respond, but I emailed it and she received it. Now, from what I'm aware of, they haven't paid anything out there.
That's what I understand.
How long ago did you send your report?
I sent it the day we got it. I don't
Okay,
know what day that was.
that's
They, even the other repairs that they had an electrician come out there and fix some of the lights that had been busted, and he submitted in the invoice and he's never been paid. And it seems like there was another one.
Mr. Myrick.
Mr. Myrick, and he submitted an invoice and never got paid.
They submitted their invoices to this
Directly.
recovery?
Yeah, directly to logistics recovery.
Maybe we should communicate in writing and ask about the timeliness of their response. When should we expect a response, positive or negative? Mr. Attorney?
I agree. I mean, what we said, and then I can follow up on those if they don't get it.
All right, and would you send them a letter with a copy to Mr. Danny Collins at Duke Energy?
Yeah, I think the thing to do is Courtney sent
And
those
they
off.
have the report,
I don't know.
it has options in there, so I don't know what options do we want to ask them for. But they do have the report that shows what damage was done.
And if they don't respond to Courtney, then I'll see if they'll respond to me.
Okay. Well, I know that the report, this same report regarding the damage estimates was on the Aviation Advisory Board's report last month. So we know that they have had the report at least
For
a
over
month, or maybe 5 weeks or 6 weeks. So.
So then there was a cost, in the report, there was a cost to repair it. One of the repairs was $321,500, and then there was another, if they could do some more work out there, what was needed to be done at $2.7 million. So what are y'all asking them for?
That is, I mean, that'll probably be because it really is Duke Energy. They were here on behalf of Duke Energy.
Yes.
So I would say one thing would be to copy Duke Energy on the report, maybe follow up, and when you follow up, copy whoever at Duke Energy with your follow-up with logistics, but then the commission needs to give both of us, I guess, direction on what are we seeking, what are we, their question's probably gonna be, I would think, that they got some sticker shock, and what are we looking to them to pay for? How much? Or what we want them to fix specifically. And that's not a question for necessarily right now, but talk to the Aviation Advisory Board and everything else, but.
I guess that's a short-term fix and a long-term fix.
Okay, all right, and then they're reporting, and Courtney and I were out there when the DOT came and inspected the tree removal job that had been done with FDOT funding, and they're issuing a new full license for the airport. They were pleased with the tree removal project. And then they're reporting here that the FDOT and Kimley Horn met with the city administrator, and I met also with the city administrator and these folks that day. At our request, the FDOT grant administrators agreed that going forward, all FDOT aviation project grants will include funding for surveys, which they haven't included before, periodic engineering inspections. Sometimes they do include funding for inspections and sometimes not. And the ones that have periodic inspections, those projects go smooth. And the others that don't have inspections are just, they're you know, a mess like we have now. And they're going to start allowing funding in their grants for the engineer or the grant writer to complete the reimbursement documents. Because all these FDOT aviation grants are reimbursement, and it's quite a workload on staff to do that because we have a skeleton crew. So they're going to start, DOT is going to start helping us out with that, and that'll be a good thing. So,
Mayor, can I ask one more question, going back to those figures of $200 and some odd thousand versus $2 million some odd?
it's 312.
Well, whatever the cost is, 312 versus 2 million.
2 million.
Who made that determination? Did we hire
Our engineer's gonna report.
our engineer to do that?
Kimley Horn.
Kimberly Horn did that.
And they are highly respected aviation engineering firm.
Well, not to question them, but I feel like that we gonna have to look at this hard, just my opinion, is I don't think we should be charging anyone for some fair wear and tear. It's hard to see, and I walked it, I'm not the Kimberly Horn engineer, but it's hard to see $2 million worth of damage. Now, we could spend $2 million out there easily from things that could be improved. I see that. But that wasn't necessarily due to, in my opinion, wasn't necessarily due to damage that these folks caused. If they cause damage, I feel like strongly they should make good on it. But I don't want to, like the attorney said, get sticker shock over something that's not practical. That's all I'm saying. So, and I'll leave it at that.
Now, I do know a year before that Kimley Horn performed an asphalt inspection, and they compared the asphalt inspection of the year before to what they did. Pretty much, I'd say it was a couple of weeks after the staging event. It was as soon as possible. So then, since I'm on a mission here now to get this hangar completed as well. Have you, Courtney, have you heard anything regarding the hangar? Kathy, have they
I sent
communicated?
Brian Cathy 2 emails before the holidays asking him to contact Jacob Jacks to look at the suggested repairs. Never heard anything back. So I contacted Mr. Jacks yesterday. He said he never heard from Brian Cathy. Called Brian Cathy today and he said, it was on my list to do, I hadn't got around to it yet. So he is trying to schedule a conference call with Jacob Jacks and himself and Jason White Construction for the first part of next week.
Okay.
Someone delivered some rock over there for that repair. I saw that when I was over there.
That rock's been there a long time though.
Well, I was talking to Greg, I mean, not Greg, I was talking to Tim about the rock, and he seemed to think that it had been delivered there fairly recently, and that's been a couple of weeks ago.
So they're gonna have a conference
He's
call?
gonna have a conference call, he's gonna let me know when it is, so I'll let you know and Tim know and anybody else who wants to sit in on it.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Okay, then now we'll move forward to the HR committee report.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
The committee had one meeting this month on the 19th of December. Our first task was to look over those 3 remaining job descriptions and see see if we could get them to the point where they were ready to be presented tonight. There were several suggestions or directives given to us by the commission at their meeting in December, and we addressed the great majority of those in the 3 job descriptions. There were a couple of things that we talked a little more in depth about. One of those being the description of the property manager, what a property manager was and what the duties were. And, pretty much had a discussion that said that department heads already had much of those duties in their individual job descriptions and were responsible for the physical plant and for the equipment that they were in charge of. We thought that Courtney was the overall property manager for the city, being that she is the city administrator and in charge of all the departments. But we did, Courtney did suggest that you have a discussion with Mayor LaPaz about that, and I believe that they did, and that took place. I know that took place. And what I think, and correct me if I'm wrong here, that the decision was made to change the job description from not the job descriptions that we're talking about, that the property manager monicum, I guess you could say, into a facility coordinator, which is less of a management type responsibility, but still a very important responsibility. And that was put in the financial administrative assistant job description, and the words property manager were not used. Okay. Am I correct on that, Courtney? Is that pretty much the way it was? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. And everybody's aware of that. And I thought that was the whole discussion that evolved from that was a very good one, I thought. And I think that's one thing the committee is very good at, having some very thoughtful discussions about issues like that. The other one that was on the table, that was not yet put into the job descriptions, was designating essential personnel. And I believe the committee's consensus on that was that that should be dealt with when we, a little bit down the road, when we talk about the policy and procedure manual. And rather than put that in job descriptions right now, if the person that's described in that job description is essential for an emergency situation, let us handle it and let us talk about it and discuss it and talk about it in depth when we go through the policy and procedure manual. And I believe that's what the direction that the committee would like to take. So those 3 job descriptions, financial administrative assistant, city administrator, and city clerk, are before you tonight to your perusal and hopefully your approval of those job descriptions as they stand right now. And I think that the committee realizes this, and I hope that everyone on the commission realizes that, at any point in time, any job description can be changed by the city commission. And things can be added, things can be taken out. But we want to get to a point where we finalize those job descriptions, and those are what we'll use. And when things come up, like who is an essential person, then those job descriptions can be modified. And then after that, we did have a little bit of time in our meeting to talk about the new evaluation form that I would say that's in process right now. No real decisions have been made, but some good discussions and about what should be contained in the evaluation were discussed at the meeting. And we had, I think, 5 or 6 samples to look at. So we'll be working on that in our meetings in January, the first one being tomorrow and the second one later on in the month. So, and that's where we stand right now.
All right.
Okay.
thank you very much. Do you all have questions for Mr. Magnan? Anyone? Okay, I just want to thank you all on the HR committee for taking my revision suggestions under consideration. And I do agree, after I thought about it, the essential and non-essential personnel can be designated through the personnel policy. And you did include the assist with public records request and facilities coordinator. And I did not know that there's an actual job description for facilities coordinator. Big companies, major buildings have facilities coordinator. And I just Googled it after I thought of the term. And there's actually personnel companies, HR companies have descriptions for it. They typically work as a facilities manager to maintain office equipment, physical space, telecommunication systems. They handle building equipment emergencies on an ongoing basis, serve as a liaison between company employees and outside contractors to fix problems. And they're typically required to hold an associate's degree. They schedule preventive maintenance and respond to urgent maintenance calls. They review furniture needs, keep office supplies and kitchen supplies stocked, and they sometimes require coordinators, and they work in as an administrative assistant capacity. And those are the type of things that, whether or not it's part of a finance clerk's job, once again, we're working on a skeleton crew here, and that's what our finance clerk does. And I've worked very closely with all 4 of these positions for 7.5 years and have had a good opportunity to observe what they do day in and day out. So, but I thank you all for taking that into consideration. I appreciate it. Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr.
And then,
Okay.
new business.
Mayor, I think we need to take action on the PD.
It's on we have it as an agenda item. Is that all right? Okay. Okay, then we'll move to new business. And we'll talk, number 1, discussion of possible action regarding hiring a water and sewer department laborer. And that's where Mr. Charlie Painter and Ms. Courtney will come in and talk to us. They did the interviews. I think you had about 9 applicants, but you can tell us how they got dwindled down there.
Charlie did all of the interviews.
Okay.
And there was There were 8 applicants. Out of the 8 applicants, there was 1 that was no longer interested, 1 that didn't show up. There were 2 in here that didn't want the $10 an hour. Narrows it down, I think. Do you want to make your top 2 suggestions? So, yeah, Charlie got it down. You know, we didn't have very many applicants to begin with.
I believe we were Tevin and Danny.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to.
I don't have the applications in front of me. I looked at them twice. So this is Tevin Jones and Danny Litton. And did you all review the applications?
I did not, but I had some discussion with the city administrator.
I did have discussion during our water and sewer department meeting with Mr. Painter and Ms. Courtney. So,
Who's the other one, Kevin James and Jones?
Tevin, T-E-V-I-N, Jones, and then Danny Litton, L-I-T-T-O-N. And then, are those in order of ranking?
No, I really didn't rank them necessarily.
Do you want to make a recommendation, Mr. Charlie?
Our crew.
You've done the interviews.
Yes, our crew would recommend. Well, I talked to all our guys before. Sorry. Our crew would recommend Tevin. That would be, as our group had talked about, the person has to work with everybody in our field, all our groups. So when, as a manager, I would talk to all of them, all of my employees that work under me, and make my decision from there. And our group's decision would have been Tevin.
Well, that's important, we have to have teamwork.
Right.
So, and so that's Mr. Teddy Jones, then
Who do you recommend, Mr. Charles?
I would.
I'll make the motion, we hire Mr. Jones.
Okay, so we have a motion to hire for a water and sewer department laborer, Mr. Tevin Jones by Keith Walden, Commissioner Walden. Do we have a second? Do we have a second?
Mayor, I've got a comment.
Okay, but we have to have a second now. We're into to that mode. We have to have a second for discussion. I'm sorry. Mr. Hart.
Well, I would like to follow, this is, I got to give you my opinion.
Can we do that?
But the thing is, it can die for lack of a second, and then there could be general discussion, whatever else, but as far as on this motion, any discussion has to come after the second.
Okay.
Now, can we die for lack of a second? Can we have some more discussion, and then can we make a motion again?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to say that motion, Mr. Walden, died for lack of a second. You have that, Ms. Courtney? Yes. Okay. All right, so let's have a little discussion about this recommendation.
Okay. I support Charlie's decision. I'm not hesitant about Charlie's decision at all. I had a discussion with the city administrator. I'm concerned about process, and we talked about, I discussed it with her intensely. We're trying to fill a position that's not technically vacant yet. And I feel uncomfortable with filling a position that's not technically vacant yet. True that it may be, but technically it's not. As far as Charlie's choice, I don't have any problem with his choice. It's just I feel like the process needs to be complete before we make the decision. And again, Charlie, I'll go along with your choice. But process is, I feel like we're working hard with our PDs, and we're working hard with a lot of different things within the city coffers right now to try to get process and things organized and kind of disciplined. And I just feel like the process is getting the cart before the horse. Now, if the horse was before the cart, I'd second the motion, or I'd even make the motion.
Now, okay, that I understand your concern there. And I do know that there are 2 open positions at this point, that you're down 2 positions.
Actually, 3 is.
And I just counted as of August of 17, you had 9 people on staff, including yourself. So how many people are on staff now, today?
7. Right. Not right. I count them up. 6.
6 on staff?
Yes.
Let me look at my names here. Yes, that's correct, you're missing 3 from a year ago. So, in my long years of water and sewer department meetings, they always said, the past superintendent and the assistant, which was Mr. Painter, not to let yourself get down so low to where if you have a disaster or if someone gets hurt or someone resigns, that you don't have enough staff to maintain a 24/7 operation where you're providing water that's for consumption by human beings and making sure that sewer doesn't spill out all over the ground. And I don't have a problem myself with going ahead with the process and replacing one of those 3 vacant spots at this time. And the person can go ahead and start the training process. So do we want to entertain a motion?
Just one more comment. I don't think, in my opinion, there's not that kind of urgency. I discussed it again with the city administrator. The process will be, if followed and we go through with the process that's kind of in the works, it'll all be finalized at the next meeting. So he's not shorthanded at this point. Even though you're showing 3 positions, which I've heard of, that are vacant, that this board, for one reason or another, or past boards have decided to kind of just hold still. For what reason, I won't get into. But just to flow through with the process like it should be, the next city commission meeting, which will be February, whatever, our first Thursday of the month, the process can flow through and everything can be handled.
And what is the process? Because Mr. Painter and I have talked since the fall. We've been talked quite some time that we did need to replace, and we were waiting for the appropriate time to advertise that we needed to add a staff member there.
Another step, which I had hoped to do in late February or coming
Oh,
in
so
March.
you need to add yet another staff.
Yes.
So,
There's 2 to be hired.
And we, the hurricane really put us behind on everything that we're doing, and not just us, everyone in this region. So what is the process that you're referring to?
I don't think it's appropriate that I speak to that right now.
It's
And,
hard to
you
make
know,
that.
there is things in the mill that's happening among the business end of the city of Carrabelle, which is handled by the city administrator and the rest of us, that things are gonna fall into place.
All right then, and
That's just my opinion.
and so it seems like that we know we have 2 commissioners that would prefer, or that are recommending, as your staff is and yourself, Mr. Tevin Jones. Now, between now and another month, February 7th, Mr. Jones might get himself another job. Would we have to go through the application process again? How would that work?
I believe so. Dan?
It is, obviously, you could,
And,
Put it out
Mr.
there,
Jones.
if you didn't hire, would you re-advertise it?
and we haven't voted on it, so we don't know for sure if Mr. Jones is hired or not. So,
I mean, he's definitely not hired.
that's right.
But Mr. Jones could withdraw, if he can't wait a month, then he could withdraw just like the other folks. And
Let me ask something.
we could pick then, if we have a depth bench there, but, go ahead.
My question to you, Dan, is what is the time limit on the city completing the hiring process once the interview process is over? Is there legally a time
No,
limit?
I'm unaware of any time limit. What I'm looking at is the agenda item. I don't know, I talked to Courtney about these, but I think after everybody's conversations, as usual, I was running around, and I talked to her late today. So this agenda item being discussion possible action hiring a water and sewer department laborer. Charlie's saying there's a number of spots open that would fit that title.
2.
So there's 2 laborer spots open.
Well, actually, one is where, I understand where Tony's coming from. So in Tony's case, if you take the one out that he's talking about, there's still one open.
Okay, and certainly there's no, from what Commissioner Millender is saying, obviously the commission can table this decision. They can push it to the next meeting. That's certainly within everyone's authority, power, everything else. And obviously, that's not a problem. There's no legal, there's no expiration date on it.
I didn't think so, but I was asking.
Yeah, because that is something you can table. You can put that off to a later day. The risk is just, I guess, what we're sitting here talking about, that somebody's not going to have a job for 30 days or you lose the person.
I make a motion, we table it to the next meeting, or which is the first meeting in September.
All
Okay, we have a motion to table.
In February.
Uh-huh.
second.
Or, yeah, February.
By Commissioner Millender, second by Commissioner Allen. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Did I hear, you oppose, sir? Okay, so Commissioner Walden opposes, and then yay for the others. Okay, all right, and so that carries, and we'll table it, and we'll take this up again at the next meeting. Okay.
Thank you, Charlie. And there's
something next, and that's what stay.
Yeah, the next one, unless we need to take a recess, do we need to take a recess, or can we make it through this one?
We'll make it.
We will make it, okay, and then we'll take a recess.
We'll make it.
All righty then. Item 2, discussion of possible action regarding promotion pay increases, and we have 2 that we're going to discuss. We've got a position open for the advanced wastewater treatment plant operator, and then we have our water and sewer department superintendent, who was actually promoted 7 months ago approximately, and we've not discussed a pay increase for this position. So we'll discuss item A. You know, when we advertise for this advanced wastewater treatment plant operator, we need to know what is going to be the salary or hourly wage. Actually, this is an hourly wage position. Just as we did for the water and sewer department labor, we knew what the hourly wage was, and we were able to advertise that. So do we have any suggestions? Courtney and I talked extensively with Mr. Painter regarding suggestions, regarding what Mr. John King came in at with experience, and he was certified already when he arrived here. So 12 years of experience he had when he left. Just here, I don't know how much experience he had before he came.
He worked at the US DOT, or the state DOT, before he came here, and he probably had his license for 7 or 8 years, but probably only used it for 3 of those 7.
So we've been through, we've talked about, you know, certain pay raises, or pay rates, excuse me, for the advanced wastewater treatment plant operator. And we've discussed $15.50 an hour, we've discussed $15.80 an hour. There's a certain cap that I believe you would like to keep, not to upset the pay scale at this point until we can designate more pay grades through work with the HR committee and the commission.
What is the rate now?
So the rate that John King started at was $15.50, 12 years ago.
No raises since then.
He has had raises. He left at almost 18.
I can calculate that.
Charlie, while she's calculating, I'll go ahead and say that the board may make a decision beyond me. I support raises for both of these positions, but I'm not ready tonight to make a decision for me on what that raise may be yet. I would like to look at some more stuff and be educated by you and where you're coming up with your figures. Actually, I didn't know this was going to be on the agenda until I saw the agenda on Monday. And when you were promoted, I anticipated that we would give you a salary increase, and I would support that. But I would like to look at it, study it. I actually had the opportunity today to speak to the superintendent at Choppy for a little while, talk with him a little bit about it, and just fortunate I ran into him. I've known him for years. And but I would like to have the opportunity, which now I know that we're going to address the issue, to look at both of these positions and come up with something that's fair to both the employees and the city. And let's do that and make an informed decision. That's what I'd like to do.
Well, for me, it would be an informed decision because I've had, plenty of time to discuss it. It's unfortunate that the agenda did not go out on Thursday afternoon. I understand that it was in the outbox. It wasn't able to send. It did not send from the clerk's outbox. And finally, on Monday morning, I was able to get Miranda to get that out circulated. It's unfortunate. Mr. King left at $18.26 an hour after 12 years of service. So that's a little bit of information for you all.
I want to say something.
Okay.
I've talked to the city administrator today about this position, and she was going to make a proposal. I think we should listen to her before we make this decision to postpone this, because these guys are going to be working the whole month. Jerry put in a lot of time to get this certification. I don't think he wants to sit back, wait another month before he gets his pay raise. I wouldn't. I think we should listen to our city administrator, make her proposal what she thinks is fair pay raises for these two gentlemen, and we'll vote on it.
I don't have a problem with that. Now, at this point, but I will say this for process. Mr. Mock has not been formally hired to that position, but I do intend, after we have these two discussions here, I intend to advise the commission that we need to appoint an acting advanced wastewater treatment operator, and then we need to follow policy and advertise in-house, just as we did with Mr. Painter. Whenever the superintendent retired, we advertised in-house for 1 week, and Mr. Painter applied, and we were able to fill the position. And what we need to do is follow the policy as it says in the personnel policy, and advertise in-house for 1 week, and get an application. And if we don't get an application, then do what we normally do, is advertise in the newspaper and with career source. So after we discuss what these possible increases would be, and not necessarily adding a name to the increase, there is a job description called Advanced Wastewater Treatment Plant Operator, and we could assign a pay rate to that. It has no pay rate assigned to it, except for what Mr. King was making when he retired. And then we need to, before we leave this agenda item, appoint an acting wastewater treatment plant operator. So, but let's hear what Ms. Courtney has to say regarding your recommendation.
Well, my recommendation was just going to be that the advanced wastewater treatment plant operator have a $2 increase, and the department superintendent was a $4 increase once they got Charlie already has the position, but the advanced wastewater treatment plant operator once he got that position. Now, I'm not opposed to, I think that we should give Mr. Mock his merit raise for going to class at least.
Now,
which is not as high as, it's not as high as the $2 an hour.
So the proposed rate that you're suggesting would be at entry level, advanced wastewater treatment operator, entry level $15.80 per hour.
Which is in line with what a research that Charlie has done on other departments, what they're paid.
Also, might have mentioned he's already doing the job. John King retired. The state of Florida requires us to have an operator on site. Justin's on vacation. I'm covering the water plants, and Jared is already working since Saturday, covering the wastewater treatment facilities hours, so I can cover Jared or Justin's hours on the water treatment system. But we are shorthanded in operations staff right now, severely. There's only 2 of us.
Well, I'd like to say I'm very proud of Jerry or put forth the effort to go and take the class. But it's not like that, and get the training and get his certification, but the city paid all of his expenses, so he's received some benefit from that already. Employees get some benefits, and we pay for their training and upkeep. And because, just as an example, the mayor made the observation about one of the applicants for one of the jobs could go somewhere else. Any employee that we send to training right now, there's no guarantee that once they receive their license, that they could go elsewhere with that license that the city paid for. Anyway, so there's a benefit there that the employee gets, which I'm proud of. I'm glad we do that. But anyway, and I'm proud of Jared for taking the effort to do that. But again, I'd like to see this and look at what we're doing with informed information. I just threw some rough numbers down, and I didn't calculate $4 an hour, but let's just use numbers. $4 or $3 an hour amounts to $6,240 a year increase.
So East Point pays their wastewater operator $20 an hour, and they work a 4-hour wastewater plant. And they work an 8-hour day. They're only required at the plant for 4 hours. So the water plant operator is required an hour a day, but again, they work a full 8-hour day. They pay him $17 an hour. And he just got his license a few months ago. So we are still lower. And one of the reasons why you would see people get their licenses and move on is because we're not keeping, or some companies don't keep up with the pay.
Yeah.
And if you're, if the guy next to you, next door in the next town is making $3 an hour more, and the job is open, you would jump. You would go right away.
I agree with that. I agree with the statement you made. From my point, I agree with the statement you made.
I think though we need to concentrate right now on this agenda item is divided up into two sections here, advanced wastewater treatment plant operator pay, and then water and sewer department superintendent pay. So let's concentrate now on the advanced wastewater treatment operator and get that settled, whether or not we're going to designate a pay for that position. And entry level, and then we'll move on to the water and sewer department supervisor, and so that it doesn't get confusing.
Okay, I don't think I was specifying, Mayor, since I had the floor now, I don't think I was specifying a position. I was specifying numbers and giving you an example regardless of which position it is.
All right, $5 an hour increase would be $10,400 a year. $4 per hour would be $8,320. $3 per hour would be $6,240. $2 per hour is $4,160. But we're really not talking about an annual increase for the advanced wastewater treatment plant operator. At this point, we're talking about an entry-level rate for that position, because we will be advertising for that position. And it has been suggested by the administrator at $15.80 per hour. So
I'll make a motion, we'll take city administrator's recommendation on Jared pay.
Second that motion.
And, okay, so we have Mr. Commissioner Walden recommends the city administrator's, motions for the city administrator's recommendation on the entry level advanced wastewater treatment operator at $15.80 per hour. We have a second by Commissioner Mathis. Is there further discussion? Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye, and only because I don't feel like I'm thoroughly informed on salaries.
Now we'll discuss the water and sewer superintendent, water and sewer department superintendent salary. And that is where we would discuss increase per hour for overall salary rate increase. And Ms. Courtney, what had you suggested for that?
I had suggested the $4 an hour from our conversation that we had in our water and sewer meeting yesterday, that the suggestion was up to $7 an hour, from $3 to $7 an hour was the suggestion, and I had went with the $4 an hour.
Okay, $4 per hour, which comes out to $8,320 a year. And you had done some research, and you say that it ranges from 80 to 110.
76 to 110. Yeah, something in that range.
So what kind of information do we need to discuss here with the commission, all the commissioners, to get an idea of what I've got some numbers here with me that I brought from Miranda. What do we need to know? What do y'all want to know?
I understand what we're talking about is an entry level of a person going into this job.
We're talking now about the Water and Sewer Department
Yeah.
Superintendent. And our superintendent has been superintendent for 7 or 8 months.
Sure.
And you have 14 years' experience with the city of Carrabelle?
Yes.
And I don't know what you had before that.
I was manager for 4 years in low-value utilities, and I started out 9 years previous as a wastewater operator. I got my water license while I was there, got my B license while I was there, and I moved into management for the last 4 years before I came here.
I think you ought to get whatever the last superintendent was being paid. He just took over the job.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, if we give him the increase, and Charlie, I am supportive of the increase, but again, I'm repeating myself, but I would like to be informed on the decision that I vote on. If I'm not mistaken, Courtney, if we give a $4 an hour increase, and that's how much a year?
8320.
That's gonna put him about $6 grand above what the last superintendent was making, and he had 30 years.
So there are some differences there, but I'm not trying to.
There are.
You know,
Hey, I'm not. That's
talk
where I
about
would
30
like to
years,
have a workshop.
Mr. Conrad in Southern Water Services actually provided your operation for very many years here.
That's correct.
I'm not dissing Keith, that's not where I'm saying. There are some.
And no, we don't want to do that.
Exactly.
Yes, until you came along, sewer services were subcontracted out.
Correct.
And then you came along not only with the sewer certification, but water certification as well.
Correct.
And I've worked with Mr. Painter over these long years, and I'm familiar with what was being reported and activities that were going on and work that was happening through all of our many, many meetings. It's unfortunate that all of you all haven't had access to that, but Mr. Painter does put in quite a bit of good time. Now he's overseeing a $2,018,000 budget, and you have a staff of 6 or 7, but it really should be a staff of 9 or 10. And it's 2 water treatment plants, an advanced wastewater treatment plant that can serve about 25,000 people, and multiple lift stations, major lift stations, pumps, valves to keep sewer off the streets from spilling. You've got, like I mentioned before, you provide drinking water for human consumption. It's a major responsibility 24/7. And you've got duties and responsibilities that come with that position. It's competitive as well. Now, if he gets what the water department, water and sewer superintendent was making.
I do have some figures that Miranda provided today, and at a base rate, so it's what me and Commissioner Millender talked about yesterday. At a base, the base rate, Mr. Painter is making now $54,666. 54,666. And Mr. Mock, when he left, was at 57,279. So that is the base of what Mr. Mock was making and where Mr. Painter is.
So if we give him $3 an hour, how much is that a year? That would be
6,000.
624, 624.
6,240.
I make a motion, we give Mr. Charlie a $3 an hour pay raise for his promotion, which will bring him up to about what the last supervisor was making,
I'll put him over.
maybe a little more. But he has all the license too. That's right.
Correct. Mr. Monk didn't have a wastewater license.
If you're not here.
I manage the wastewater treatment
Yeah.
facility is what's always my main thing here.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Walden to increase pay promotion increase the water and sewer superintendent for the promotion of $3, what equals out to $3 per hour. But this really isn't an hourly position salary. So do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Commissioner Mathis. Is there further discussion?
Just a comment.
Okay, sir.
I think that I still would like to have more information, and from my perspective, I would like to revisit it. I'm going to vote for it because you've been there for all the positive reasons, okay? And it's not that far out of kilter to what Mr. Mock was earning. Mr. Mock was a long-time employee, and anyway, it's not that far out of kilter, but I would still like to look at it, and it could come back before the board. But I would like to look at it because I want to be fair to the employee as well as fair, as what I said already. Be fair to the employee as far as well to fair to the city. So okay,
I got
that's
one,
only comment.
make one more comment. Are you requesting back pay, or are you going to accept no back pay, right? Get that?
That's not what.
Okay, just from
They-
here on, okay. I'm through.
Okay. I had something I want to say, but I
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Say it.
and not only do you want to be fair to the employees, but to the ratepayers,
Correct.
we want to be fair to the other employees too.
Correct.
Yes, we don't want to forget them, and we don't want to do something that's outlandish
That's kind of what I'm implying when I said I want to be more informed, because there's a lot to consider of all the employees within the city, not just two positions, but all the positions within the city.
They're all supposed to
And
be
we
in front of the HR committee.
Exactly. We've got a lot of things that we still need to address, and that's part of my hesitation. I'm not against being fair to the employees.
And you may go back to the advanced wastewater treatment operator when we discuss all of these pay grades.
Look at it again. Yeah.
I would
Yeah, I'd like
suggest,
to
I
know
want
if
you
we're
to.
gonna put Jared up or not.
And we need to look at the pay scale for that one as well. And you may end up increasing the wastewater plant operator. Who knows? Who knows what may happen?
We've got to look at the budget. There's a lot of factors that goes into it.
And they know, they've heard me say that over the years, that the budget is what affects it all. And it's really tough on the city side because we only have so much money on the city side. So, all right, so we have this motion for $3 per hour by Commissioner Walden, second by Commissioner Mathis. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, then that motion carries. All right.
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you, Charlie. Yes.
I'll have to take a break.
No, let me, I don't want to take a break now. I told you earlier that John King's last day was December 28th, and we need to appoint an acting advanced wastewater treatment operator to help carry the load there. If not, we'll have to hire out a subcontractor, and we need to also designate if and when that advanced wastewater treatment operator's pay grade will be effective. So we need to appoint an acting wastewater treatment plant operator until we can go through the procedures outlined in the personnel policy to formally hire.
Don't you think we should ask for the superintendent's recommendation?
Well, he's here, we can certainly ask.
What am I, for the job?
Do you recommend somebody to be the acting wastewater treatment plant operator?
I do, it would be Jared Mock, he's the only one with a license.
Okay.
I make a motion to hire Jared Mock.
Okay, now what we're doing right now, we're appointing Mr. Mock, you are, as an acting
I
operator.
want him to get the pay to go with the acting.
Okay, all right, so appointed as an acting wastewater treatment plant operator, and your motion includes that his pay will go with the, as the day he started, or will
Yes.
start.
Yes.
Okay. You have that, Ms. Courtney? All right, then, and we have a second. Okay, so we have that by Commissioner Allen, and motion by Commissioner Mathis, second by Commissioner Allen. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, then that motion
Thank you
carries.
again, Charles.
Okay, so we have one more. All right, now, we need to direct Ms. Courtney to advertise in-house for the open position of advanced wastewater treatment plant operator. And my suggestion would be for her to do that, it's 5 business days, do that on Monday. And then, as I said before, if the position is not filled in-house, then we'll advertise in the newspaper and a career source.
I make a motion we do so.
Okay, that's by Commissioner Millender to advertise in-house.
Second.
Okay, and second by Commissioner Mathis. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, now that motion carries, and thank you, Mr. Charlie.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Charlie.
it. Okay, all right, let's take a recess. Is that all right?
That's fine.
Okay, thank you all.
Grandchildren? Yeah.
Okay, I'm calling to order out of recess the regular meeting of the Carrabelle City Commission on Thursday, January 3rd, 2019. And I was just alerted that I called for recess while Mr. Mock was signaling me that he wanted to speak, Mr. Jared, and I didn't know that he wanted to speak, so let him say whatever he wanted to say.
I just want to say that first and foremost, I appreciate the opportunity to further my education and to get the license. You know, I know the city paid for that, and that can be expensive. I want to thank y'all for that, and just thank y'all for this opportunity. And I do want to say that my plan is long-term here at Carrabelle. I plan to 20-something more years and retire. I've been here 8 now. I don't know on my long-term, but at least 22 more. I plan on furthering my education a little more and trying to obtain more licenses and, you know, whatnot, what have you. But I appreciate the opportunity. Y'all excelled on Mr. Painter. I can't, the things he's done for me to help me and to move me forward, I really appreciate that. But I appreciate the opportunity. Like I said, my goal is to stay here. I've talked to Mr. Painter long-term several times. We get ahead of ourselves from time to time, and we talk about the next test, and I'd say, let's just pass this one. But my goal, I'm here. I'm here to stay. I want to stay. I'm not leaving Carrabelle. I don't have any plans to leave Carrabelle. I can't tell you that for sure, but my long-term goal for now is the city of Carrabelle. I don't want to leave. I won't leave Carrabelle, and I don't want to leave the city of Carrabelle. My heart's here. Like I said, I've been here 8 years, and I appreciate the opportunity to do what I've done, and I appreciate the board and the mayor and the commissioners and everything they've done for me, and I just want y'all to know that I really appreciate it. It really means a lot to me, and I know that, in the past, there was things that people went out on a limb and helped me, and they continue to do that, and I appreciate that. And I hope I don't let you down. I hope I can continue my education and pass some more tests, and we can be having this discussion again in a couple months, couple years, and what have you, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you for your positive comments, Jim.
Thank you, sir. All right. We'll look forward to your application. All right, then we'll move to old business. Item 1, discussion of possible action concerning the final job descriptions completed by the Carrabelle HR Committee. And we have this is once again in A, B, and C. And first we have the Finance HR Administrative Assistant. and that was revised a little bit since last month. Did everyone, Courtney circulated those before she went on vacation. Thank you so much for the. Did everyone review that job description? And do we?
Are we ready to adopt?
I reviewed it. They took my suggestions and put them to good work, and I do appreciate it.
All right.
So,
I'll make a motion to accept these HR committee recommendations.
okay, are you motioning for all of them at one time?
Yes, all three, A, B, and C.
All righty, and we've reviewed all, has everyone, let me ask all of them. You want to make that in one motion?
One motion.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, has everyone had the opportunity to review the city clerk and the city administrator's job description as well as the finance clerk? Is everyone satisfied?
I'll second all three.
Okay, then we have a motion by Commissioner Walden to accept all three job descriptions that's by Commissioner Walden, second by Commissioner Mathis. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and then that motion carries. All right. So that was short and sweet. Thank you very much. Thank you all again, your HR committee, for doing the work on that. And now you'll move on to your evaluation form. We'll look forward to that. Okay, so item 2, discussion of possible action concerning a request to purchase water and sewer property on Highway 98 in Lanark. And this is requested by Russell Sykes. And he's here this evening. And he's going to talk to us, I suppose, then, with your proposal.
I will. Mayor, Commissioners, Council, and Administration, my name is Russell Sykes. I'm a permanent resident of Franklin County with Carrabelle. And I have submitted an offer for your review to purchase some property that's located off of Newman Drive in the Lanark Village area. I have supplemented the information with some handouts, which are a plat which was produced for this purchase, and the other piece of paper that you see there, green, is a larger blow-up. Is a larger area, the plat is a smaller area. I have had substantial discussion with Mr. Painter, and the initial plan has been minimally altered, but Mr. Painter felt strongly, and I agree with him, that he would like to set aside, and that's designated there by the red box, by the way, additional area for future growth of the plant, the lift station. And I had not thought of that, but it makes perfect sense to me. But I have not amended my offer price for that, so that's relevant. There is before you an offer that I have made, and I am ready to answer to the best of my ability any questions you may have.
I would also like to add in, to let the board members know that I did call Seacrest Realty and got a fair market analysis on that piece of property, and their recommendation was $20,000 an acre. And I do have that information available if y'all would like to see it. She did provide several different comps for that property.
I would, if I could have a copy of that, because I had some questions about that. I also looked at that's how I came kind of to the price that I arrived at, by trying to do what they call a CMA, is a comparative market analysis. And what they do when a realtor, it's not an appraiser, by the way, it's a realtor, that takes a look at a piece of property and says, I'm going to list this house for $325,000 because this house down here sold for $175 per square foot, and that's what this house would produce on the same thing. $20,000 is considerably out of line, in my personal opinion, and I'll tell you why.
And I'm not recommending that, I'm just letting them know that was the information that I.
Well, I mean, certainly this commission's entitled to an explanation. I mean, there's a substantial difference or a problem with that, in my opinion. And I've made some notes of that because I anticipated this question. One of them is that property is subject to flooding. Mr. Painter and I think a couple of days ago, visited that property. He can vouch for the water level that exists on that property now because of the high water table. But there's also standing water on that property as well. There is an active spring on that piece of property that flows from the northeast to the southwest. Their property is landlocked. It would have no access. If somebody wanted to build there, they're going to have to buy some property or something to build a driveway to get to it. It's, as you can see on that chart right there, is for practical purposes landlocked. There is a stormwater easement that starts from the lift station on Highway 98 and goes directly to the lift station that's at the top of Millender Drive. And it just comes right on up. That would remain in city property. The acreage that you see in there, I think it's 3-point-some odd acres, but that is what that total plat shows. It does not take out what the amount is for the lift stations or for the easements. There is the pump station noise. There is expense of the removal of downed trees, which would be, in my estimation, about $2,500, because there are 3 large pines and 1 large oak that would need to be cut up and removed. And I showed Mr. Painter those the other day, and he saw those. There's also a possible sinkhole on the property. On the positive side, for the city, it's found money. The return of the property to the tax roll, it reduces the city's exposure to liability, and I can close quickly, and I am making an as-is purchase. In other words, if I purchase a property as is, it's my responsibility to remove those trees and not come to your expense. I have reduced the area according to Mr. Painter's desires and my understanding of the agreement. And that's pretty much it. I don't know that realtor ever even visited the property. It's a unique piece of property. It's not a buildable lot. You know, it's not where you just drive up and start to lay something. It's just land that's there, mostly tree covered. And so there's some differences. All right. If there's anything else I can come up with, or any things that I can answer, I'm going to.
Well, just a question. It seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong, there was a mention of you getting an appraisal done on the property, I think, in the beginning of this discussion.
There was.
Okay.
Actually, he wrote us a letter.
Yes.
Says before we go, talking about you and your wife, before we go further and incur any expense for an appraisal and survey, we need to know if the city would even entertain the sale of such a property. So,
And I attempted to, and I called Northridge, which is a well-known appraisal company in Leon County, and I spoke with the appraiser, and we made an appointment for a Monday morning, which was a week. I called him one Monday. It was to be the next Monday. Well, it was raining like the devil that the Monday that he was going to come, and he didn't come. But I never heard from him again. And I called, he called me, but this was after I had already submitted my offer. This is like 4 weeks later, after I had called his office and made the appointment, and then called his office again to find out if he wanted to reschedule what time it was going to be. And he was not able to take the call, but the person who took the call said he'd call me back. I never heard from him. I contacted 2 other appraisal companies. One doesn't do raw land, they do just houses. That was Ketchum, and I don't know the third.
okay, Okay, well, we're not in an emergency. The city did not advertise this property for sale. It's not advertised. $11,000 is not even a drop in the bucket compared to expenses that the Water and Sewer Department incurs. I mean, they spend $11,000 in a half day, you know, so that's not money. I mean, that is not newfound money. You talk about the tax rolls, that's not the city limits, that's not gonna help the city at all. Now, the city did go ahead on your proposal and have the entire property surveyed, because that property had never been formally surveyed, and so it doesn't hurt us to have a survey of that. I'm gonna go ahead and say I'm not in favor of all of this, letting go of all of this. I kind of expressed that to you earlier at our last meeting, which we did not have a formal discussion. We haven't advertised this. These residents here also need an opportunity to bid on property if we want to bid on property. Maybe we don't want to sell all of this property. Maybe we don't want to sell any of it. I don't know, but I'm not going to, personally, I will vote no on $11,000. I'm not going to consider $11,000, even for 1 acre. The only thing that I would consider would be, now there's an easement that Mr. Painter has informed me about, and it goes from this lift station that's right across the street from the boat club. Boat club, there's a lift station there, and it's an easement that goes all across the property to the lift station on Newman Drive. I would only cut the property down that, just to the east of that easement, and I would go over here to the east, this way, down across these property lines here, which one of them is Mr. Sykes, and then back across. I don't know if that's, the whole thing is 3.23 acres, or 3.3 acres, this might be an acre. And that's the only thing I would consider. That's just me. So you all need to go ahead and tell me what you think.
Well, I agree with you. I don't know where Carrabelle, Leonardville, you buy for land for that $11,000.
Well, this is 3.3 acres with the water view. I just can't go
I mean,
there.
I don't really see where we need the property, but I think the city should give a fair shake. I mean, I know my daughter just bought 2 acres. I don't care about White House Estates, and they were $30,000 an acre. They were roughed up. They ain't no, she's got to clean them off. So $11,000 is, to me, Leonard Village is prime real estate. You sit right there off the Gulf of Mexico, and it's just.
I mean, if we advertise that for, my husband said he'd pay $12 for it.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
Are we
you
giving?
know, he did. We walked out of the last meeting, he said, I'll give him 12 cash tomorrow.
I might give you 13 for it.
So if we advertise that for $11,000, I mean, it would be sold in the morning. Yes.
I would like to echo both your and the Commissioner Walden's sentiments. I feel that same way, and I'd like to make a motion that we reject this offer.
Second.
Okay, all right then.
Or if you like, I can just withdraw and make it simple for you.
Well, he's made the motion to reject at this point. By
That don't
Commissioner.
mean you can't come back down off the
That's
lake.
correct.
And so we have that motion by Commissioner Millender and a second by Commissioner Mathis to reject the offer. And now, discussion. And now, Mr. Sykes, you have more of an idea of what you were asking in your letter there, would the city entertain, and you have kind of an idea. And so, any other discussion? All right.
I'll just make one comment for Mr. Sykes, and I've communicated my view on it all along. I'm interested at the right price.
Sure.
Okay.
I just happen to feel that's the right price for it.
And
I understand.
let me ask Mr. Hartman then while we're still in discussion. Would we legally need to advertise this as surplus property?
No.
I was asking Mr. Hartman.
I know I had advised the city, I looked into that statutorily. We do not, as a matter of statute, have to advertise it as surplus property. Many cities and counties do so in order to generate interest and get the highest price. But our home rule powers, have the right to operate and buy and sell buy and sell property.
Okay. All right then. All right, well, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Sykes.
Thank you, sir.
All in favor of rejecting this proposal? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, then that motion carries. All right then. Item 3, discussion and possible action concerning the cell tower lease in Sprayfield.
I wanted to talk to the administrator and mayor prior to the meeting on this. I've gone back and forth a bit with Ms. Bodie, with Unity, the cell tower folks. I wanted to get some direction from the commission. My recommendation, because of some of the other things we're discussing, and I know they're not front burner as much as this is, but when we talked about a variety of different uses of that property out there, or surplusing of some of that property out there, everything else, that I would recommend, want to get obviously direction before I do anything, to advise Unity that we are not interested in pursuing the lease at this time, but basically just put it on hold, that we'll be in touch with them if we change our mind and when we get things sorted out in Landmark as far as what our long-term plans are for the property. Because this would absolutely interfere with our long-term plans out there that we're discussing. We don't want to get the cart before the horse, like we talked about earlier.
I make a motion, we take the attorney's recommendations. I had those thoughts in my mind before I came here tonight, because of the things that they were requiring in that lease, the complication of it, the demands, what we would have to commit to, et cetera, et cetera. So I make a motion, we accept the attorney's recommendation.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have that motion to take the attorney's recommendations regarding the cell tower lease at this time by Commissioner Millender, second by Commissioner Walden. Any further discussion? And I have, I'll use the word echo, I have the same feelings and opinion that Commissioner Millender has, that it's just too complicated, too long of a lease, 9 years, and it would tie up our surrounding property out there at this time, and we're not ready to do that. Okay, so any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and then any opposed? Okay, and then that motion carries. All right, then, very good. That was good. Thank you, Mr. Hartman. We appreciate that. Item 4, discussion and possible action concerning election matters, including changing city election dates to coincide with county election dates. And I'm just going to try to go through this real quick, just a quick history. I do that sometimes on some of the what might be controversial stuff. This is now our 6th discussion regarding changing the election dates to coincide with county election dates. We began back in July at a special meeting where the Franklin County Supervisor of Elections, Ms. Riley, gave us an in-depth and comprehensive presentation and answered all our questions regarding changing the city election date to coincide with county elections. She presented several options on how the city could save substantially on costs associated with elections. At that time, we also reviewed a survey conducted by the Florida League of Cities in 2017 that showed 42% of Florida cities hold their municipal elections during the November general elections. Then we furthered our discussions on August the 2nd, September the 6th, and October the 25th, where a motion was made and carried to turn our election powers over to the Franklin County Supervisors of Elections in its entirety, and to take staff out of the election process. Next, we had an extended discussion at last month's meeting on December the 6th, where yet another motion was made and carried to extend the current term of the Board of Commissioners to get the election cycle to the even years to coincide with county elections. And then this commission then directed, at the last month's meeting, directed the city attorney to assemble a draft ordinance to that effect after he concluded his research. And he has, Mr. Hartman has conducted extensive research, including attorney general opinions, with the conclusion that the city, Carrabelle City Commission may amend its city charter by ordinance to move the dates of the city election. and a one-time extension of terms of the city municipal officers resulting from this date change to make for an orderly transition. And he presented that in a detailed memo with the results of his research, and I know that was all circulated to everyone. I hope everyone had a chance to review that. And he also submitted a draft ordinance for our review, which we all have, and I see Commissioner Allen, I believe he's got that laid out on his desk now. So is there any further discussion at this point? Have we reviewed the ordinance?
I have.
Are we ready for a motion?
We might be ready for a motion. Now, I have reviewed the ordinance. I would suggest one item change on the ordinance, that all of the commissioners' signature lines be included. I have seen this on ordinances in the past, and this is a decision. This is a decision for the city of Carrabelle. It's an amendment to the city charter, and I would like to see all the signature lines on there. And of course, if the commissioner is not required, or we don't have to sign it if you don't believe in it, or if you're not going to vote for it. So I would just like to see that. Do you all have a problem with that?
I don't have a problem with that.
Okay. Then what we would need to do would be to, if you wanted to make a motion for it, we need for the draft to include the signature lines, and for the to place the draft ordinance as an ordinance on the February 7th agenda. Is that correct, Mr. Hartman?
That's right, so it'll be up for first reading on February 7th.
So you,
I'll coordinate with Keisha, get it advertised.
Make a motion to proceed as described with the ordinance reading at the February meeting, and to include signature lines for all commissioners.
is there a second?
I second that motion.
So we have that motion by Commissioner Millender to proceed as described with ordinance reading at the February 7th meeting, and to include signature lines for all commissioners. Is there any further discussion?
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Do we need to put this out to the public before we vote on this February 7th? So if anybody opposes this, they can come in before we vote, or will this be
Yeah.
final?
This is how this will go down, is there's two pieces to this, and in the memo, we talk about it, is you, in some cases, when you amend the charter, you also need a ballot referendum. So that's literally on the ballot during election. Based on statute and Attorney General's opinions, that is not required for the changes that we are making to election date, and in order to the extra time necessary to make a orderly transition, so everybody's term is just extended to the even year, election day, November. So that's part of it. The second part is, since it's an ordinance, not a resolution, since it's an ordinance, we'll have first reading in February, and then it'll be advertised in the paper before first reading, and then it'll be advertised again later in February for second reading, and that's when we pass it. So the public gets 2 meetings. They come in and lay it on us, is what happening is with it, comment on it.
And then, so the second reading would be at the March meeting.
Second reading will be in March, and that's when it's passed and becomes effective, will be in March.
Okay. And as I just have something here that I want to say in discussion. This has been considered strongly. It's been reviewed. It's been discussed. It's been approved for several reasons, including the substantial savings on the cost of elections currently held on a date other than when county elections are held, the expected improved voter turnout that we would expect to be held on coinciding with county elections, moving election time away from the identical time that city budget workshops and hearings are being held, and for the considerable improvement of efficiency and staff productivity, because the county supervisor of elections office would manage and handle all election functions at a reduced to no cost to the city. And I will say that's what the Supervisor of Elections Office does best. That's their job, and that's what they're funded to do. And why would we fund the same process when they can do it for us for free? And that's what I have to say. Is there any public comment during discussion? Any public comment?
I just
Okay.
would suggest that those
Yes.
comments that you just had should be added to the advertisement that you're going to have in the paper, if that's appropriate. I think the positive aspects are good for the public to see.
Or I might send a letter to the editor.
Very
Oh,
good.
yeah, I got it, but please.
He's welcome to.
Each listener.
All right, I'll send you a letter.
Advocate.
Dear David.
But I just wanted, my only question is, no one gets more than a year additional, correct? You don't get 2 more years on a term or
No.
3 more years.
It's technically gonna be about 14 months.
Yes, 14 months. Because our elections are in September, and then the county general elections are November. We're the first Tuesday in September, or first Tuesday, and the county elections are first Monday,
Do you anticipate
first Tuesday of November, excuse me.
that will be the issue, that you're,
I have, everyone that I have talked to says go for it. Go
Everyone?
for it.
Same with me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Except for one commissioner. And we know who the commissioner is. But otherwise, I say go for it because of the substantial savings, number one, and we operate on a skeleton crew, and it's going to take all of those duties off of the clerk while the clerk is trying to manage our budget season.
when the Supervisor of Elections has a full-time office in Carrabelle, or close to it?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay.
But she, I can provide you with all of the information and presentations that she brought to us and options. And Ms. Heather has actually, we're communicating, she wants me to keep her in the loop because she's going to be making a presentation to the Apalachicola Commission. They're interested.
Most of the response I get from the general community, which naturally you can't speak to everyone, but most of the response I get is they can't figure out why the city was on the odd years away from everything else anyway.
Mr. Attorney, I will make one comment. I probably shouldn't say this, but if the Apalachicola City Commission voted themselves an additional year, that would not go over well. Even though I'm just, it's a different atmosphere.
But you
And
never
that's a
know.
possibility here, so.
It's true, but
It's a different atmosphere.
it's going to save them, it might save them over what it cost us, about $5,800. So, save them at least that much. And the headache.
There's discontent.
So, we're still in discussion. Is there any further discussion? Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed? Okay, then, all are in favor this time. Ms. Courtney, so you have that? All right, so we'll advertise for this for the February 7th. Motion carries, and I'll send a letter to the editor. Okay? All right, there being no further business, may we have a motion to adjourn, and it's not even 8:15.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Okay. That motion is by Commissioner Millender, second by Commissioner Walden. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, then that motion carries.